All right, the goal for today is to investigate variability using data displays and summary statistics. So if you can arrange data sets in order of variability, so what variability, by the way? So difference between the values, so how spread out they are essentially. If you can arrange them in order of that, then you will have met the goal. So I am recording now, just like I always do. So if you're ever absent, check the slide for the day you're absent, and word by date, and see what's next. The practice will be a puzzle piece that is in Schoology. My first class had time to work on it, so I don't know why you guys wouldn't be able to. And the puzzle pieces are a good indicator of how you'll do on your quiz and or test, whichever one. So what is coming up next is our Unit 1 test. The plan is to take it Thursday next week, but things could always change, but that so far seems to be the solid date that we're going to take it. Keep in mind, anytime there's a unit test, the binder check will also be around that same date. So in this case, it'll be the day before, so on Wednesday. And also, the way that we set up the deadlines is usually by unit test. So like you can turn in all your Unit 1 stuff all the way up until the Unit 1 test. And I give you like an extra. I made it Friday instead of the Thursday that you're actually taking. So that's how it'll be each time. I know it looks like a lot of stuff, but it's for the Unit 1 test. So any questions on that? All right, so you guys just completed a card sort activity. We'll go over the answers here shortly. But here's actually where we left off in the notes yesterday. I had you order these from least variability to greatest variability. So which one, and whether you have your notes out and you can just tell me what you put or just look at it now and tell me what you put it. Which one is the least spread out? Dot plot A, B, C, D, or E? The most least spread out is E, right? Because it only has the one value. So that's the one that has the least variability then. So on your notes yesterday when you ordered it, you should have had E first for that one. Then what is the next least spread out? I'm finding my answer to confirm, but which one would you think is the next least spread out? B is the next least spread out, because that one has most of the data clumped in the middle. Again, mostly on the 10, and then very few on each end. So good. What would be next? I would argue that C is the most spread out because it has lots on like each ends. So what would be the next least spread out one? A, I would agree. Then D, and then last but not least, C. All right. So A again has a little bit more in the middle compared to B and C, and then very few on the ends. D is a uniform distribution, but still like they're kind of evenly spread out, versus C where it's very few in the middle and then it's 10 on the end. So even though like C, remember the mean for all of these is 10, that is like the least representative because, you know, it's heavy on each end. So even though there's very few 10s in this dot plot, it makes you think that a typical value is 10 just because they're so spread out. All right, any questions on where we left off yesterday? All right, now for the card sort. So here are your results. I took a picture of it, and so I'll kind of explain it while you check. So I have A matches up with I. So the big one matched up with the little one. B should have matched up with L. C should have matched up with N. This one over here is D, it should have matched up with M. We have E that should have matched up with J. F that should have matched up with K. And then lastly, G that should have matched up with H. All right, any teams get all of the matchings? What about like at least like most of them? Good. All right, now which ones were tricky, do you think? Any of them? Yes,
The ones that want an absolute deviation.
the ones that wanted the mean absolute deviation. Did you actually like calculate the mean absolute deviation for all of them?
No,
What did you do instead, probably?
chose the ones that have negatives.
Look at the negative for that one. So not many of them had negatives, some of them do, but then like process of elimination probably led you to compare these and then those two. So then, in my first hour, they said that the box plots were difficult. Anyone agree or disagree? That the box plots were hard to match up. All right, so maybe you agree with that. I said, I think the box plots are the easiest because what can you clearly see on the box plots? The median. So like this one happened to say what the median is, so that one could have been an easy matchup for me. What else can you see easily on box plot? Highest and lowest. Anything else? So like this one doesn't say median. What's the median of this box plot? 20, but the card that goes with it doesn't say a median of 20. It says an IQR of 11. So you still could easily do that. You just have to do like a little bit of math. So what's the formula for IQR?
Q3 minus Q1.
Good. And can you see your Q3 and Q1 clearly on the box plot?
Yes.
Yes. Let's make Q3
25.
25. Good, because these tick marks count by 2 and it looks like in the middle. And then let's make Q1
14.
14, which equals 11, like the card says. And it is skewed right because box plots, most of the data is on the box itself. Since it's pulled more to one side, like this whisker, then you would say that it's skewed right because that's where like the void is, essentially. What other great points did I bring up? They're a lot more talkative than you guys are. For the histograms, can you easily see the median? Can you even tell me what the median is for sure in histograms? No, but you can say like what interval it falls in, but you can't say for sure what the median is. But these ones are clearly skewed. So look for the void. The void is on the left for this one, so that's why it's to the left. This one's skewed right, because there's a void on the right side. Good. Now the next question that I should have asked you probably before you sorted them, but we'll do it together now, is whether the mean or median is more appropriate for measuring center on each one. Remember, variability or spread is how spread out the data is. Center is like your typical data. So like for the data display A, the dot plot, what would be better to use, the mean or the median? Anyone disagree? Think about what we looked at yesterday. When it's symmetrical, you can easily identify the mean. So in this one, the entity actually says that the mean is the better measure of spread because it's symmetrical. And it is. If I draw a line down the middle, it's a mirror image on both sides. What about this one? Is the mean better to use or is the median better to use? Who thinks mean? Think median. All right, looks like we're refusing to vote today. Mean is correct. All right, again, because is it symmetrical?
Yes.
Yes, perfectly symmetrical. What about the next one? C. Is the mean or median better? For the most part, is it symmetrical? So I had to check my notes for this too, my answer key, because I wasn't 100% sure what they would say. But in this one, it said that the mean, because it is mostly symmetrical. All right, if it's completely asymmetrical, then yeah, use the median. But since it's mostly symmetrical, we're gonna use the mean. What about on data display D? Should I use the mean or median when it's skewed? The median. Because it's skewed, because it's not symmetrical. I'm gonna put because it's skewed. What about E? Good, same thing. It's just skewed in a different direction. Oh no, hold on, I missed it. All right, what about F? Does this one look symmetric? Whiskers are pretty equal in length. The box has a line in the middle of the box. So I would say this is pretty symmetrical. So in this one, we'd actually use the mean for the better measure of center. And then lastly, for G, does this look symmetrical or asymmetrical? So then what should we use for best measure of center? Median. All right, we're seeing the patterns, even in different data displays. Good, that's the goal. So that pretty much actually wraps up the lesson, and this class ends at 12:39. So that gives you 7 minutes to work on your puzzle piece and potentially not have homework. You should be shooting for an 80% or higher. If you need more attempts, you could always email me or let me know class, but use your 2 attempts first, and as long as you're not guessing, I'll give you more attempts. And it's just a practice, it's not a quiz. I think people confuse those. If it's an assessment grade, it'll say quiz or test.